Hello friends, welcome to the Babbles Travelling Yarns podcast. I'm Grace, your host, and this is going to be a super quick one because I've got to go to work in like an hour and 20 minutes. First off, let's just have a little tiny sipping of coffee. That's Irish for sip. Oh, it's Sunday the 3rd or 4th of March. March! EYF month! Oh my gosh, are you excited? I'm so excited. I need to talk about so many things. Okay, but where do we start? Where do we start from here? So on the 1st of March, myself and my friend Alana, who is Spinny Buns on Instagram, I talk about her a lot because she sent me a link to a book that she had written called A New Spin on Colour for a review, and I really loved the book. And then I started following her on Instagram, and it just became an organic friendship. Maybe not so organic because she contacted me with the book first, but you know, at the same time she has taught me a lot. And we were spinning together. We were just spinning, and she saw that I was spinning for the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowry, and she was spinning herself for the Shift Shawl, for the Night Shift Shawl. And she said, oh my gosh, let's do it together. Let's knit it together. When do you think you'll be ready? And I'm like, I think the 1st of March I'll be ready. And I was ready on the 1st of March. And I saw Alana had sent me a text this morning going, how are you getting on? And I'm like, well, I've wound one ball. Oh dear. So this is, I suppose let's talk about the knitting first, or the pre-knitting maybe. So this is my colour set for the Shift Cowl. Ta-da! So these were a set of bats that my friend Helen from Pretty Funky Fibre had made up for me. She made it up for me from some pictures that I sent her, and they've spun up so nice. I spun them 3-ply. I spun them. I plied them using a chain ply, and I love the way they turned out like that. They turned into almost worsted weight at this point. But it's going to be a really chunky, cozy cowl, I think. And I think the Shift Cowl works really well because of with hand spun yarn, often you have these shifts like this. This is a hand spun sweater that I've made in the month of January, start of February. And if you can see, there's lots of like little changes, quick changes. So the Shift Cowl and the Shift Night Shift takes advantage of those slow shifts. It's not self-striping, it's just shifts of colour. And these ones now, I don't know if they will necessarily do that. Sorry, my throat is, because it's in the morning and I haven't. Anyway, you'll be fine with that. So I don't know if I'll necessarily. This particular yarn is going to do that. The only way I'll know is by knitting it. Now with the Shift, normally you only need 3 colours with about 200 grams in each colour, but it uses up all of the colours. So these were 50 grams. These bats were 50 grams each. I don't think I've got 200 grams in each one of these. I didn't measure because I am reckless. That's fine. So, but I've got 5. So I won't run out of yarn, but my challenge is to try and figure out how this is going to work up. And I think I'm just going to have to let that go a little bit and just knit it. I'll have a story about how I kind of just planned something and it didn't work out. Well, it's okay. It's not what I planned. Very upset. Anyway, no, we'll talk about that later. My emotions. Okay. Another beautiful project that I've been absolutely loving it. It's soothing my soul. Is in my beautiful bag by Deborah Makes. Deborah Makes Crafts. This is a hand-dyed bag. This is dyed with elderberries and wildflowers from the lake. She's got this lovely kind of hemp cordage to do the handles. It's a drawstring bag and it's super squishy, so it squishes down in my purse and I can bring it into work and find it. It's got a pocket on the inside. It's got a lovely plain cotton on it. Feels like cotton just on the inside. Absolutely beautiful. Debbie also sent me and they've actually sold out completely out of her shop since I showed them on the podcast last time. That's so exciting. But she sent me one of these incredible tote bags. Incredible tote bags. And this is going to be a prize for the cable cowl, or cable mal or cowl, which is going to be this is going to be the project going into the finished object thread. It's absolutely gorgeous. With cherries on top too. I always forget her first name. I just love her Instagram name. I actually bought one for Edinburgh specifically, so it's perfect for Edinburgh actually because it's got such a huge bag in the middle. So you've got two pockets, one on either side, and 1, 2. And she's also provided these gorgeous little lavender bags. Oh, they smell so good. Yes, I'm going to keep that in there. And this one is dyed with wildflowers from the lake and avocado skins. Avocado skins, yeah. So that's going to be a prize for the cable cowl. Yay! And this is by Deborah Makes. You can see her beautiful little stamp here with a little bee. So cute. I think it's because she goes by Debbie B. So cute! I know, I just figured that out. Debbie Keely. Yeah, so yay. So I was really excited when she said that they'd sold it. I think she only had like two other ones in her shop. So get more of these in your shop, Debbie. And people can go buy them because they're absolutely gorgeous. And I love this kind of cotton woven band that she uses. Very nice. All naturally dyed, beautifully packaged as well in calico. It's gorgeous, really nice. Yeah, so what have I got in my project? Well, it had to be a cable project, didn't it? It had to be. So, first off, let me talk about the yarn. The yarn is from Ocean by the Sea by Ocean Rose, and this is naturally dyed Donegal tweed yarn, and it is that color is spot on. It's this really light minty green. I don't know how she got it. It's absolutely beautiful. And the yarn is so soft. It's a BFL with the Donegal nep included. I can't remember the percentage, but the nep isn't too much. I don't believe there's any nylon in it. 1 second. Oh, nope. I've taken it off and put it somewhere super safe. Super safe. Sorry, Ocean. But I think it's at least 80-90% BFL. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. It is so soft and squishy and smells amazing. It has this lavender smell, like it's just so nice. But I'm knitting a cowl called the Cable Crush Cowl, and Cowl, Cable Crush Cowl. Whoop. Sorry. So it's actually showing up really well. Like sometimes you'd wonder a little bit on the nep if it's going to show up, but The traditional Aran jumpers and sweaters all had these neps in them because they were all hand spun. So those little neps, those little blips were very reminiscent of the original Aran sweaters, Aran jumpers. They would have still had the pieces of vegetable matter, the pieces of darker fleece from other animals that were all thrown in together and washed, and you know, it's turning out so beautiful. So this is a really simple cowl. Can I remember the name of the woman? I was looking up a cable cowl on Ravelry, and I chose to look specifically for a maker of colour, just to spread my kind of awareness of makers of colour. Now, I was having a little bit of a, oh, am I just doing this for tokenism or something moment? And I had a chat with Shannon, my friend from Socksetra podcast, Shannon Fisher on Instagram. And we had a FaceTime chat, and we were chatting, and she was like, no, do you know what? I went an entire year, she went an entire year just reading literature books from women authors. And if she didn't make that choice, she wouldn't have found all of the authors that she loved. I mean, she found some authors that she didn't love, but she found authors that she really did love. By making that conscious decision to search for books by women, she has expanded her own interest circle, and she's also given a chance to kind of a minority writers. And I think by making a conscious choice to search for designers or yarn dyers of colour who are not like me, essentially, looking for people who have different backgrounds, who have different cultures, different races, or if you want to do all of that, which I do, I want to delve into it. And I have a problem saying the word race. That's silly. Anyway, but that's my own internal uncomfortable feeling. Get over it. Now, here we are again. So basically, I was really, really excited to trawl through Ravelry, and I got to the second page of, like, I put in cowl, cables, and it was worsted weight or Aran weight. And I got to the second page, and I'd seen about 3 or 4 other people of colour on the pages, but they weren't exactly the cowl that I was looking for. And then I came across this one, the Cable Crush cowl, and it is absolutely gorgeous. She had, actually, I'll put the name of the author down here. I didn't write it down, and it's only on my phone. I haven't printed off because my printer's broken. Actually, it's not, it just needs ink. I'm so lazy. But so she had a garter stitch around the edge, around the edges, but in the picture that she had, it was kind of flaring out a bit up here with the garter stitch, and I didn't necessarily want that. So she had the option in the pattern to just leave out the garter stitch and just start straight into the cable. And what I might do then is go back over it with an I-cord or something just to tidy up. But I think the edges are fine. I think it's fine because it's just going to, because cable is essentially a rib, and it's going to be nice and cozy around my neck. And I'm hopefully going to have this done for when I go up Arthur's Seat twice when I'm in Edinburgh. So I've decided to organise a walk up Arthur's Seat again. This year I'm going to be going up twice, once on Wednesday for people arriving just a bit before the festival, and once on Saturday morning for those who are arriving a little bit later. If you're interested, I want you to register your interest with me. I can only take a maximum of 10 people up at a time. It's just myself leading, so it won't, it's, I can't take 40 or 50 people, that's ridiculous. So I can take about 10 people, so you need to message me for the times and where we're meeting. So yeah, if you're interested, you can message me on Instagram or Ravelry, and I will hopefully get organised on that. So yeah, if you're interested in the Wednesday one or the Saturday morning one, we should be finished on Saturday morning by about 11 o'clock, half 11. We can go for lunch and then go back into the market if you've got tickets on the Saturday. It's an absolutely gorgeous walk. It's really, really beautiful. You can see Edinburgh from everywhere. You can see the whole of Edinburgh at the top. You can see the sea, and I've been up there so many times now. I have so many stories. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. So I love walking up there. I haven't done any hill walking in a long time, so I'm not going to be fit, so don't panic. It takes about 20 minutes. It's about half an hour walk on the flat, and then there's about 20 minutes of steps up to the top, and then with many breaks included in that 20 minutes. And then it's about an hour slow walk down the back of it. I like going up fast and then walking down slow, because going up like this takes 3 hours. It takes me forever. I can't do it. So that's my method of doing Arthur's Seat. And if you want to join me, you're more than welcome, but just message me and I'll give you the time and dates, the time and where we're meeting on both of those dates. So that's really exciting. But yeah, oh, Ocean's also going to be at Edinburgh. So I also want to finish it to show her her beautiful yarn worked up. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love catching it on the shadow. Well, like when it's straight like that, you can't really see, but when it's off to the edge, so nice. Oh, lovely. Oh, so pretty. And I've never done these little caught cables before. They're quite cute. I never have. This one asks for like a proper cable needle, and I don't do cables with a cable needle anymore. So I've been doing these by getting 6 stitches, moving them across onto one needle, wrapping the yarn around, moving the 6 stitches back across onto the other needle, wrapping it around that way, and it's working, so I'm fine with that, because I just can't be dealing with fiddly little cable needles. I also so I want to announce that I've got a cable class coming up on the 30th of March. So that's after Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So it's going to be on the Saturday. It's a full day class and it's all on knitting cables. We're going to be knitting a very simple headband, a cable headband, and we should get it done in the day. And if not, you can take it home and finish it. It's a very simple. It's just to get the hang of cabling, understanding what cabling is. We're going to cable with a cable needle and without a cable needle, so you can choose which one is your favorite. We are going to be talking about reading your knitting, being able to see how you managed to do it before and see if you can recreate it again. Where I'm going to be taking you through how to read charts, how to read a pattern, how to read cable charts, and yeah, and then how to sew the band together to make a headband. So I suppose depending on how much you make, it'll be for a baby or an adult. So that'll be a full day class at the Irish Fibre Crafters space in Ardrahan in County Galway. And if you're interested, you can call the number just here or email with the information just across the screen just now. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait. So we were going to have a 3-day sock class, but I think I was a little bit nervous about it because it was a lot for people to commit to over 3 months, and socks just kind of aren't sexy on the west coast of Ireland at the moment, which is such a shame. But yeah, so we've decided to kind of simplify it and just do 1-day classes instead on different techniques. So the first one's going to be about cable knitting, maybe some history of the Aran cables in Ireland and on the Aran Island, which is not far from Galway, and also then the next one in April is going to be about lace, and we're going to be knitting some lace face cloths. It'll be a lovely little present for Christmas. You can build up your lace kind of. I'm going to be supplying the cotton and the yarn, and everything's going to be supplied in these workshops, so you just have to bring yourself. And then the last one, which is going to be in May, is going to be a sweater sweating knitting workshop. Basically, it's basic sweater, and we're probably going to be working on a baby sweater design just to get they're a great way to figure out how a sweater is constructed, all the different types of constructions, and just how to structure a garment, how many ways we can structure a garment. So we won't finish anything in that class probably, but you will get a pattern and you will get a lot of discussion and instruction on how to start, and hopefully you won't be scared to, we will start in the class, whichever one you like, but yeah, so that'll be kind of a more chatty kind of theory class and answering questions and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. And yeah, so those are my classes coming up in the Irish Fibercrafters, and that is my beautiful Cable Crush cowl. Right, moving on, Grace. What time have you? What time is it? I don't know. Okay. Hee hee. I should have set a timer. Oh no. Okay, let's get on to some emotions. Well, I was meaning to do the podcast yesterday, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna warp up my loom and it's gonna be fine. What did Grace do? She went overboard and she decided, you know what's a great idea? I'm gonna learn how to do twill on my hand spun yarn. Should not have done that. Anyway, so how do I explain this? Right. So I was a bit like, oh, it's going to be a bit boring. It's just going to be red on red. There's no fade. There's no, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I hadn't woven in a while because I finished this piece, which is a tartan. I said, I just want to do plain weaving. Why didn't I listen to my first thing? Anyway, I was watching Tom from Powered by Flapjack on Instagram, and he was doing a twill, and I asked him a couple of questions on his Instagram, and he was kind enough to answer a ton of questions, and I was able to get it all written out in this simple form. Well, it's simple to me. I figured it out eventually. So when you're weaving twill, it's a 2-1. That probably makes no sense, but basically when you're direct warping, you're pulling through threads. You need 4 threads through this slot, 2 threads through this slot, 4 threads, 2 threads, 4 threads, 2 threads. So when you're pulling through with the direct warp, you've got a little crochet hook and you're going through the slots. And can I explain what slots are? So you're pulling through the slots here, a loop of thread. So you're actually getting 2 threads through that slot, and then you're looping it around a warping peg. And then you go back and you go through the same slot again and you pull through another 2 threads, and then you have 4 threads in that slot. And then the next one you have 2, 4, 2, you know, that's the way you go. So it means that you use up quite a lot of yarn in that section. Twill is a lot denser than plain weave. You get a lesser width. And I was doing all these fancy calculations to try and get the longest warp using all of the dent. I wanted to get it wide as possible. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to do twill. And the whole idea, I didn't understand that twill shrunk in a fabric. And I was like, feck's sake. Anyway, I had it all warped up. And then I realized that I didn't have the right, so this yarn here that I spun is a DK weight. Yeah, at least a sport to DK weight. And with twill, what you need, normally with DK weight on plain weave, you need around a 7.5 dent heddle. But with twill, you actually need a 5 dent heddle. You need 2 5 dent heddles, because to get the right kind of fabric density, that's what you need. I don't understand exactly why, don't ask, but I didn't have a 5 dent heddle, so I thought, I'm just going to change my 7 dent, and I'm just going to thread every 4 heddles. I'm going to skip 1 hole and thing. And I did that, and then I started weaving with that, and it was coming out like gappy. You know, of course it was, because I'd left a hole every 4 threads, and I was like, oh feck, this isn't going to work. So I had to take all of that out and re-thread and do it all just in a 7.5 dent. So it's going to be a thick fabric, and the twill isn't showing up. So all that hard work and the twill isn't showing up. So twill is when a pattern moves across a fabric. Your jeans, if you look down at your jeans, you will have these lateral lines, and jeans are always normally, unless they're jeggings, but the jeans pattern are normally always have a twill on them, and it builds density, they're stronger, and that's just the way that they run. So yeah, I've got a super dense fabric, which I suppose is good. I'm just mad that I didn't just go with my first gut, and I'm like, now I'm mad, I'm like, oh, do I still have time to take it all out and just rethread everything and just do a plain weave? And I'm like, no, Grace, calm down. Just do this, it's gonna be fine. And the thing that I'm cross about is just the width of the fabric, because I wanted to make something substantial with all of this yarn that I hand spun. I'm so mad. But I put it up on the interwebs and people said that it looks gorgeous, and I'm like, thanks, I guess. I'm so grateful. So I'm gonna leave it up to you. Just tell me what you think. Right. So this is my twill. You can't see it. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's moving a little bit. Will you cross this way? Can you see this? Yeah, I suppose. Anyway, maybe I'll just do it for a structure. And then I took it out and I started weaving with a lighter color, like with a white, and it didn't, like, I lost all of this dark red, you know, it just looked white, and I was like, well, what's the point? So I'm a little bit sad about this, but hey ho, spaghettios. I'll keep going. I'll do the whole thing. I've got about 4 meters on this. So I'll have 4 meters of that, and I'll still make something. I'll make like a dark jacket or something, or yeah. But it's interesting. You see, that's the bright red color, and then it blends in with the darker red color, and it forms a kind of an in-between color. That's nice, I suppose. So with a twill, I don't know if I can explain this right at the moment because I'm still angry, and I know I don't really have too much time. But essentially what you're doing is you've got a system. You've got 2 heddles, and the threads, some of the threads are threaded differently. When you bring it up, you've got 3 threads basically. You've got 3 sheds, and the top ones, that's the first. The top one holding up the back one, that's the first step. Then the top one's holding up the front one, that's the second step. And then both of them go down. Both of them go down to get that last one. So it's a 3-step twill. That was very uncomfortable. So yeah, that's where I am with that. Oh, I also decided to start another sweater, maybe for EYF. We've got 15 days now, people. This is not going to happen. But I bought this pattern when I was looking for, I was just kind of absorbed, when the diversity issue came up on Instagram, I was frantically trying to expand my repertoire and diversify my Ravelry pattern library. And I bought this stunning pattern by Atelier Emily Louis, and she's a French designer, and this is called the Shantae pullover, and it's absolutely beautiful. Look at those lace details. Now this pattern was originally written in French, and you can tell the translation isn't perfect, and there are some ways that she says things that are a bit like, what? So I'm gonna have to go through it, and maybe I might just give her a little, I might just do a little adjustments or errata or something and write it up on notes. I probably won't. I might, but I might not. But it's just something to be aware that that the language is a translation from French. So there are some things which are a bit like, right? Like, what was the first thing she said? There was something. Yeah, like work some inches in 1 by 1 twisted ribs. Repeat always this round. You know, kind of just the word. Like, you can understand what she's talking about, but there are some things which are just a little bit like not perfect English, which is fine. Yeah, so I am holding 2 strands of my first ever dye job together. Not my first ever dye job, my first ever sweater dye job together. This was a yarn that I got from Apple Oak Fiberworks, and this has Ramie in it. It's a Ramie base. It's like, I think it's 70% wool, 10 or 20% Ramie, and then 10% nylon or something like that. But it's really interesting. It's you can feel there's a little bit of plant based in there, but it's I don't know how to explain it. It's nice. It's just nice. Okay, it's nice. Yeah, but it's really nice to work with. I'm holding it double because it is a worsted weight pattern, and I got gauge on the right needle size. This was a 4.5mm needle for the ribbing, and then I'll go up to 5 for the lace. So this is as far as I've got. It's 200 stitches, and it was looking huge, like ridiculously huge, and I was like, this is wrong. Oh my god, I've totally written this wrong. But it's supposed to have a lot of negative ease on it. It's supposed to have at least 2 to 4 inches or 5 to 10 centimeters of positive ease. So, you know, like, it's supposed to be a nice floopy casual throw on jumper, you know, that's definitely ease. So I think looking at it now, I was looking at it at the start and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be terrible, but I think it's going to be fine. It's gonna be fine. So I'm holding the 2 strands together, and it's coming up in this beautiful pale green. I love that color. I dyed it myself. Proud. This is my mist colorway. It ended up being my mist colorway, and I just love it. So yeah. So I wanted just to talk really quickly. That's all that I've been doing really on that. I've just got the ribbing started on that. So I'm just going to finish off the ribbing while I talk to you about something else, which I've put down, which is no good. So I was watching just this morning as I was getting out of the shower. Does anyone else watch podcasts in the shower? Am I the only one? I'm sorry. Kalisha, you were keeping me company in the shower. Dear Tani, she's the Quirky Monday Craftcast, and she started talking about the artist that I was talking about last week, Shaniqua Moore, and I really recommend you go over and watch her Black Fibres, Black Threads segment in her video, the Quirky Monday Craftcast. It is episode number, I can't remember it. I'll put it here just in case you're watching this in the future, and you know, whatever. But I'll put a link below as well to the direct podcast so you can see. So Kalisha was talking about Shaniqua Moore and how she found it really funny the way I put in weave into Instagram, and she was like, of course you're gonna get wigs. I was like, I know that now. She was like, it's really interesting to see someone not from a black culture talk about this stuff. And I was like, hi, I'm super white. I don't know anything. But I really recommend her talking about it. She talks about some beautiful stories about her childhood and her specific memories about getting her hair done, and how culturally it was really important for her. So, but she did mention that she couldn't find her current work. And I forgot to mention in the original podcast, and I was like, I have to say it today, that Shaniqua is actually a coach now. She has turned her interest into coaching other people into for their creative businesses and as an artist, and how to make it. So she has actually turned her success into a way to bring other people up with her, which is such a wonderful thing. I'm gonna pop that down below as well. You can find her on Instagram as SHE_NE_QUA. So it's Shaniqua, but she, ni, qua, and they're separated with underscores. And she is kind of active on there. Well, she responded when I tagged her, she responded with a thanks. So she does check it, and she is around doing that sort of stuff. But I think she is focusing a lot more on her coaching and her teaching practices at the moment. As well as making, I'm sure she is. But I just wanted to say that, Kalisha, if you're looking for her, that's where to find her. Okay, because I don't want you to miss her out because she's so good. But I really, really recommend going to watch Kalisha's podcast, which is the Quirky Monday Crowdcast. It's always amazing anyway. I listened to another podcast on the Gist Yarn podcast called Weave, and what I didn't realize was that there's another segment on that podcast which is not just about weaving. It's about contextualizing textiles, and it's to do with a lot of farming practices and where we get our fibers and our woven and our threads and our yarn to do all the projects that we do. And it's run by LaShawn Moore, and it's a bi-weekly series that LaShawn does. She is the producer of the podcast, and she did an incredible interview with Sally Fox of Verena. Sally Fox is a woman who was the first woman to make organic cotton, to grow organic cotton. She is a fascinating person, and she tells her story, her complete story, it seems like, on this podcast, and I really recommend you have a look at it. She had a particular interest and focus on coloured cotton and how to actually create she tells a story about how the natural, back in the 70s, I think, the kind of the horrors of the dyeing industry came out, and she was terrified of dyed fibers. And then when she talks about when the dye houses and the mill houses were required by law in countries like the US and the UK and Europe to tidy up their practices and clean up after themselves and tidy up their dye processes, all of the big businesses moved out to China, to Bangladesh, to countries where they weren't taking into account the tidying up processes after. Oh, veg. Look at this. I'm using a Haya cable on a Chowgu needle. You know, you can do that, but it kind of comes like wrong because my it's my own fault, I know. But I'm just going to be tidying this while I talk. Oops. Yeah, so she was basically talking about how she was looking for a way to create colour without dyes, to actually grow cotton with colour in it already. And she came across this type of plant, the coloured cotton plant, which is looked down on completely by the other cotton growers. And it was a brown colour, and there was some which were cream coloured. And so she started propagating these. She started breeding them, and it's a very long process. It's about a decade it takes to get the amount of plants you need to make it grow, to make it work. And she was talking, so it was so interesting to talk about it, to listen to it. But she was talking about why coloured cotton was looked down on so much. Now, I think it's something to do with the black sheep. You know, the black sheep, or the coloured fleeces on the sheep, have been looked down on by the industry because you can't dye it. You know, it affects, you know, they want pure white so that they can make fast fashion out of it and they can dye it whatever colour they want. But she wasn't interested in dyeing processes. She wanted to make the colour in the actual plant so you didn't have to dye it. That was her entire kind of thing. And also, as she was doing it, as she was creating this this cotton, she was also breeding it for sturdiness and hardiness and resilience to lots of pests that you need pesticides for. So she was actually starting organic cotton that you didn't need sprays for. so interesting. So, but something she said was very interesting. She talked about, now Sally is a white woman and LaShawn is a black woman. And Sally was talking about the cotton and the coloured cotton specifically. The history of coloured cotton is actually racialized because the enslaved people were only permitted to grow, they weren't allowed to grow white cotton for their own use. They were only permitted to grow coloured cotton, which was seen to be lesser value. So there's this kind of long history of coloured cotton being seen as less. And that was a fascinating conversation to have listened in on, you know, and the experiences that Sally had with other cotton growers, the discrimination that she experienced from other cotton growers, because the other cotton growers which were looking for pure white to sell to the industry were actually, they were terrified of her coloured cotton contaminating their fields. So, like, you can understand it from a point of, like, you know, I suppose, you know, those Monsanto seeds that spread everywhere and then it infects like organic seeds or whatever. Anyway, but the hatred that she got was outrageous. Like, they brought in laws and everything to stop her because she was the only one growing it at the time. So they really went wild on her. So she had to move her farm several times, and now she's in a place where nobody else is growing any cotton. It's kind of at the northern tip of where it's warm enough to grow cotton, but nobody else is around her growing cotton, so nobody can moan about it. But it's a fascinating story, fascinating conversation that was had, and I really recommend you listen to it. And yeah, it's fascinating. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed listening to it, and I'm going to order some of her green cotton. It's unbelievable. It's got this, it's like this colour, you know, it's really like this colour. And I'm going to order some, it's spinnable fabric. You can also buy, you can also buy it in cones and balls, I think. And you can also buy denim. You can also buy indigo dyed Japanese milled denim from her cotton. So she still sells to a Japanese mill, and that's the way that she has stayed afloat through the collapse of the cotton industry, because it all moved abroad. So yeah, so those are all the things that I wanted to talk about this week, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm sure I've missed out something. Have I? Oh! I'm going to talk super quick about this. What's this? Oh, that's business. So my friend Laura Denise sent me from Canada. She sent me a beautiful kit of sweet legs leggings. They're so cute. So there was loads of winter prints over Christmas. So Shannon from Socksettra got me hooked on these when she gave me a pair when I was over with her. Sweet Legs, they're a Canadian company, and I don't know what they're made of, but definitely not anything organic, I'll tell you that much. Polyester and spandex. They're so comfy. Leggings! And they're all winter prints. And there's this one, which is a beautiful constellation print. Oh, it's really nice from afar, actually. This gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous colour. And the kind of Norwegian prints. I'm going to be wearing these all year round, I don't care. And then there's the knitting print. So it looks like little knitwears. So exciting. She sent me some beautiful Santa's Secret David's tea, and really beautiful lava shea lotion bar. And this lotion bar can actually be used to make other lotion bars. It's a fascinating thing. So I think it's actually solid. I think you twist it and then you can pop it off. Ah, I did it right, Laura. And then you kind of pop the bottom out, do you? Oh. Oh yeah, so it's a little, oh, I don't know if you can see that, but whoop, the box is gonna fall. So it has this really cute little flower thing. So it's a solid bar that you can, oh my God, the smell. This is the Plumera smell, which is that Hawaiian flower, I think. And you pop it back in. I might get into soap making. And then this just snaps back on. Beautiful. Lavache. Thank you so much, Laura. These are all so beautiful. She also sent me, it's on my keyring actually now, but a redesigned kind of grist stick. It's from Burning Impressions, and I might pop in a little video here of when I took when I first got it. It's shaped like a business card and it's hanging off my spinning wheel normally, but she spoke to the Burning Impressions lady, Megan from the Burning Impressions, and they worked out this redesign, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So you use less yarn to work out your wraps per inch around this little bit, because you know, and you've got your parts there, they're cut out so you can stitch your yarn into them, and on the back then you can have your what the wraps per inch, like what weight it is, and then her details there at the bottom. Burning Impressions. It's so awesome, and it's a little keyring, so I'm going to put that on my keys so I have it with me all the time. Or you can put it. So thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, I have another pair of these, Laura. I did get it and I was wearing it all day yesterday, so I just love how soft they are. Oh, so good. Oh, thanks. I'm going to use that box now to send out another little parcel I'm making up. I finally sent out all of the prizes for the Epic Along thread, like on Friday. Sorry. March. I waited 2 months to send them out. I don't know, there was something stopping me. I don't know what. But yeah, so that's me. That's everything this week that I want to talk about. Thank you so much for joining me. The podcast has suddenly started ramping up on Instagram subscribers. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed. When I get a subscription, it means to me that what I'm saying is interesting, is valuable, and you want to find out more, and you want to hear what I say, which is incredibly valuable. Thank you very much. I'm really honored by everybody who watches this podcast. In the last 2 months, ever since the diversity issue has been raised, I was, I think it was at about 6,000 something followers. It's shot up to 8,200 followers. I've been incredibly vocal about the racism issue, the diversity problems that we have, and my own small little tiny ways of speaking about the makers that I wouldn't necessarily have found beforehand because of my own internalized racism and the racism that is everywhere. I really appreciate the people that have joined in the last couple of months. It's been hard for everyone, but especially hard for those who suffer directly from the discrimination. And I really appreciate you. I really appreciate those who are fighting against discrimination. And I love you. Mr. Beans? Where's Mr. Beans? Mr. Beans and James have come to say they love you too.
Hello. Someone got caught in the rain.
Oh,
sad.
Baby, my little baby. Bye, James.
Bye.
He's such a creeper. I love him. So Mr. Beans loves you too, and he got caught in the rain, and he's like, I need my mommy. Yes. Oh. He was purring so loud last night. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and Mr. Beans loves you too. be nice, be kind. And do your best to, you know, smash the patriarchy and the status quo.